Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of GLP's 10 out of 10. And today we have with us Robert T. Barnhart, or Bob to many, an American lighting designer specializing in the field of television. He's the co-founder of Los Angeles-based design firm 22 Degrees, which is a cooperative of experienced and award-winning television and live event designers who work all around the world. Now, just before we get into listing some of Bob's credits, what's interesting to really take note of is the volume of his work on so many different events. For example, he's been the lighting designer for Miss USA and Miss Universe, not once, but for 12 consecutive years. Or maybe we can mention the highly successful show, So You Think You Can Dance, for which Bob was the designer for 16 seasons, including 2 where he was the set designer as well. But that's just the beginning. It really is. He's directed or designed the lighting for 5 MTV VMA Award shows, 12 ESPY Award shows, 22 seasons of the game show Family Feud, 12 Grammy Award shows, 22 annual Academy Award shows, you know, the Oscars, and an absolutely incredible 21 Super Bowl halftime shows. And there is much more besides that. This is really just scraping the surface. There's sporting events, fashion shows, live concert broadcasts, Olympic events, and on and on and on. In fact, if you go and look at his IMDb listing, it's longer than most A-list actors. The depth of the volume of work is just astounding. And to prove that, Bob has received 44 Emmy Award nominations and won 12 Emmy Awards. All right, I think I'm running out of paper now. So Bob says that he enjoys being driven to find the right design for his clients in any venue, in any country, and basically on just about anything that might be called a stage. Welcome, Bob Barnhart.
Wow. I'm so glad you write that introduction. This explains why I look this way and I'm only 32 years old, though.
It's incredible. It's amazing when you look at it and just go, that's 21 Super Bowl halftime shows, for example, is just astounding. I'm sure we're going to obviously touch on some of the other things that you've done through the course of the questions. So I'm personally really looking forward to this as well. So if we obviously a phenomenal career to date, but if we wind all the way back to the beginning for our first question, what was your first show as a designer?
The first show, believe it or not, as a television lighting designer was Super Bowl 32 halftime show.
Okay.
And I thought it was completely nuts that these producers asked me to do the show. Bob was busy on something. I don't know if it was a Grammys collision on schedule. Something happened and he couldn't do the halftime show. So the same producer that had been doing the shows just turned to me and said, well, we should just have Bob do it. And I'm thinking, you've never seen me design anything on TV. Well, as a matter of fact, neither have I.
Wow. And but again, that's an incredible show to get your first, design credit for it. The question number 2, is there a Spinal Tap, kind of moment where everything just didn't quite go according to plan, but you made it through, that you were able to share with us?
The Lantern Festival had one really horrific moment that I wanted to do an indoor lantern festival. That for the first part really looked like lanterns being released from people's hands, flying up as a lantern festival does, get people to watch TV, even technical people to watch TV and go, that's really cool. And then, right towards the end, show that we actually have control over them and spell out a word. What is the word going to be? Probably love. But, didn't know yet. Again, no artist was picked yet, so no music was picked, but I've been working on it for a very long time. And they got there the first day, set everything up. I think we flew day 2 or day 3. Honestly, almost perfect.
Right.
Spelled out the word one love, lots of adjustments, but good adjustments, right?
Right.
Take that 10%, take that down 10%, make that a little blue. Whatever, like really good adjustments on the first night. We flew, I think, a total of 6 nights, including the rehearsals. Flawless. Friday, we get 2 passes.
Right.
And for no apparent reason, when the drones were set to launch, they went nuts. Oops. They shot all over the stadium. They were crashing everywhere. But I'm busy because I'm also the lighting designer of the halftime show. So I'm in the truck just hearing, mayhem. I mean, no one's getting hurt, but they're just like freaking, they're getting weird signal. what it came down to was it wasn't Telemundo, but it was a Spanish broadcast television satellite truck outside the building on the wrong frequency, and his dish was pointed somewhat at a steel bridge, which reflected the frequency back into the building. Now you think, oh, well, at least you found it. Well, that was Saturday night after Friday that it was found. So going through all that. And I'm like, so we're good? They're like, well, we don't know, because if anybody else shows up willy-nilly and does the same thing, because they can't, because they're outside the building, which is outside our jurisdiction. And then an hour before kickoff, they call me up, we have a problem.
Oh, right.
Yeah. What's the problem? Like, we're seeing the signal again. We think it's coming from a police helicopter. Well, and they're broadcasting a signal to their police station of their camera, watching protesters and things like that. A lot of weird things happen outside of Super Bowl.
Right.
And so my fear, of course, going all the way through the show was some incident was going to happen on the west side of the building, east side of the building. They were going to have to fly to the other side.
Right.
While they were still broadcasting. So it's like, and I keep saying to myself, why do you bring these things to this show?
I'm sure over the years, you've obviously talked to many people and heard lots of bits of advice. What would you say is the best piece of advice that anybody's ever given you, either professionally or otherwise?
I'll give you two famous people from the industry who have said some pretty good things to me. The first one's Walter Miller, a great director, producer. We're on the airplane flying back to LA, and he comes back out of the bathroom, sits down next to me and says, do you mind if I give you some advice? When you get older and you go to take a leak and you think you're done, don't be in such a hurry to leave. You're probably not done yet. You know what? I'm going to remember that.
Right.
Probably really good advice. The other advice came from Bill Klages, probably the most famous lighting designer for television. He goes, let me give you two pieces of advice. Don't be cheap, or you only get hired on cheap shows, and producers lie. And he's right on both cases. None of them to be malicious. There's a lot of good advice out there. A lot of it probably has to do with how you manage your money and things like that, but maybe other people touched on that. So,
no, there's some great words of wisdom. Absolutely, absolutely. What would you say is your proudest achievement so far?
So, in one way, on a personal level, I would say on the professional field of play, my reputation is probably the most important thing to me, and I feel like a lot of people enjoy working with me. And again, you can't speak to your own reputation, but that's the feeling I get. And so that, on a more technical achievement, I'm going to have to pick the first 70 seconds of Super Bowl 51 with Lady Gaga when she was up on the roof. I decided to put together an apolitical, patriotic, if you will, statement. So I read every single thing you could read and listen to music on. And I took 3 pieces of Americana and took snippets of them to make one story. So I created that entire first 70 seconds of the halftime show. And storyboarded it in a very comical way, if you've seen that lecture, with the cartoons and things like that. And so for me, it's like, I'm very proud that, I worked out the music, I worked out the staging, camera lenses with Hamish and where the camera should go and how big the flight pattern should be, and then just the overall story.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic achievement, and it was a fantastic piece of television as well. But you're obviously very busy when you're out there working, but when you're not working, what do you normally do in your downtime?
About 10 years ago, I picked up golf. My brothers used to golf, and I didn't really have the patience for it. And it's a good thing, because no matter what bothers you, what you're worried about a show or whatever, when you walk on the golf course, by the third hole, you're so pissed off at your game, you've forgotten all your other problems. So it's like good therapy, right? I have a lot of inventions, as you know. I have a company called More Useless Tools. I like to teach. I do guest lectures. I have 2 90-minute classes about lighting for television opposed to lighting for your eye.
Obviously, you've worked around the world. Obviously, some of the things like Miss Universe have taken you to lots of different venues, globally. Do you have any one favorite venue anywhere?
Dave Grill and I did a show in Portofino, Italy. It was on PBS, and it was an Andrea Bocelli special. and he performed in the courtyard, and we lit the entire town of Portofino, and we were there for like 8 days.
Right.
The nicest people. There's like 4 restaurants, and we were allowed to light till 2 a.m. Then we had to shut down. And when we would shut down at 2 a.m., one restaurant would stay open called Jolly, and we had an all-Italian crew, Dave and I. And as soon as we'd shut down, they would bring out bottles of wine on the tables, put out pizza. So at 2 a.m., right there in the port, we would be eating, pizza and drinking wine until we saw the Mediterranean, saw the sun just like creep over the Mediterranean around 5 a.m. Go to bed, repeat. And so that venue is very cool. It's cool to light a town, but also it's just a fun, really fun job.
Musically, is there any one particular artist or any one particular album that you would always want to have with you, when you can't leave the house or the radio stopped working? Who would that be?
I'm more of like a information junkie, and I am like needing music to, set me into the right mood. But having said that, I mean, I like everybody. I don't like anybody, everything, but I like everything. I mean, I like Tone Loc. I mean, and I'm happy to work on a Bocelli concert, and love Aerosmith, and I grew up with Boston. I've got a car where you can just press a button and say, play this or play that, or give it a theme, and it'll just start finding music. And I'm actually kind of fine. I like the surprise, but I would say I'm a bit of Fiesta platter when it comes to the music choices.
You're doing like that. So the playlists must be great, where it just cycles around and tries to predict what you might like. Roll on Pandora. Pandora's got a lot of responses to that question, actually.
Oh yeah.
If you were able to spin back in time and go and visit the teenage Bob and offer one piece of advice, what would that be?
There's a lecture I do on basically how to what are your bosses looking for that are going to help you take care of your career, and how can you have a successful career? It has nothing to do with me. It has to do with what are your supervisors looking for. So I think honestly, I would give it to myself. I would give the lecture to myself. The short answer of it is, your skill set is critical. It's critical to you. Because if you love what you're doing, then you're going to love coming to work. But at the professional level, your skill set's expected. So it's hard to impress your supervisors because you're able to do what you're supposed to be able to do. It's not that it's not important, but it's just hard to get up another notch in your reputation. But what really sets us all apart, not better or worse, but all apart, is our attitude, work ethic, and personality. And our attitude, work ethic, and personality are really going to be your keys to success.
If you could sit down for a cup of coffee with any one person, living or past, who would that be?
I think I would thoroughly, he's not going to be happy about this, but I would thoroughly enjoy a long conversation with Leonardo Da Vinci.
Okay.
I think it would be very cool to get his take on all of his inventions, but I think it would also be good if he doesn't die a second time in front of me out of boredom.
Right.
If I could take him around and show him where we've gotten, both with technology and medicine and everything else, and just get his take on it. I would think after a while he might go, that's cool, but why didn't you guys think of this?
Right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Why did you do it?
Full conversation.
Yeah. That could be absolutely fascinating. Yeah. And then we've made it to our final question already.
My favorite.
It flies by. Well, I know you're good at this. I know you're obviously a key.
It's not my favorite because it's the final question. It's my favorite because I've worked on Olympics before. So it's my favorite.
Right. So once we finish the interview, Team USA are going to call you up and offer you a position on the Olympic squad. Now, it could be for the Summer Games or it could be for the Winter Games. But what are they going to call you up for? What's the sport you want to have a go at?
Desperation, but I mean, we're going to have a very clear conversation on the phone that if they think I'm going to bring any medal home, it's going to be pins in my leg.
Right.
Anything hanging over my neck. Without question, I am the third man in the 4-man bobsled.
Okay.
You can't be the first guy because he's got to steer.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the second guy because when they all go jumping into the sled, if the first guy misses, you're now steering.
Right.
Fourth guy breaks. So you're dead weight. You just got to be the third guy.
You just got to run fast and then go along for the run.
Run fast, jump in, hang on. Right? That's it.
Right.
As far as dead weight goes, I might actually be helpful to our Olympic team.
Right. This has been fascinating, Bob. Thank you so much. It's been inspirational. It's been amusing. It's been everything that we always hoped this series would be. So Thank you very much. It's been obviously great to see you, and hear all of your stories and everything like that. And I look forward
I appreciate being a part of the larger group that you've some really big names and a lot of people I've never had a chance to meet. I appreciate being a part of it.
That's fantastic. So thank you again. Regards to everybody else down at 22 degrees. I look forward, obviously, again to us meeting up in person as soon as possible. But until then, thanks again. It's been brilliant.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.